Hello again. In the last video we created the spawn volume and we set our where to spawn, which generated the actual box component that shows us where in the world to actually start spawning these things. The next question is, what are these things? What are we going to spawn? And so we're going to add the code for that in this video. And then in the subsequent video we'll tell it when to spawn, and then we'll actually be able to get back into the editor and make something happen. But for now, let's get started on the what part. So let's take a look at our class, and here we have the class header for the spawn volume. We're going to go ahead and make the what to spawn protected, and that means it's accessible by this spawn volume or any derived classes. And in this case, we're going to use something called the T subclass of. And we're going to use it as a subclass of the class A pickup, which is our base class for pickups. And the reason is because this can be any, let's call it what to spawn. The reason is because this allows anyone in the editor to set the spawn volume so that it will spawn the type of pickup, but we're able to enforce that type of pickup as a member of the A pickup class or a subclass thereof. So let's go ahead and make this a U property, and this is edit anywhere, and it's in the spawning category. And we'll go ahead and throw a comment on there. This is the pickup to spawn. Okay, so this is the pickup to spawn, and that's called the what to spawn. And then we're going to need to define the function where we're going to actually spawn the pickup. And again, just like in Epic's version of the tutorial, we're going to make that a private function, so this is only done internally within this class. So we'll call that, it's a void function, spawn pickup. Okay, and then this is to handle spawning new pickup. Okay, perfect. Now we can just flip over to our implementation, our CPP file, and we'll define this function. So this is a void function, a spawn volume, spawn pickup. Okay, now this again is going to be a point where you see something different between the network multiplayer tutorial and Epic's tutorial, which is basically that we're going to write the same code, but we're going to put an authority guard here so that we make sure that this is only ever happening on the server, because it's really critical that this doesn't happen anywhere else. So in that case, if we are the server and we have something to spawn, then we're going to go ahead and do this. So if this is our handy dandy if role is equal to role authority, and what to spawn does not equal null, then we're going to go in here and do this. Now, we need to get a reference to the world, and the way that they do this is they declare a uWorld pointer const world equals get world. And you could do it this way and then do the if check. But I'm going to show you a little programmer magic here. And what I can do is actually say if uWorld const world equals get world, this will simultaneously do the assignment. So it'll call get world, assign it to the value of world, and compare the value of world to make sure it's valid. Then inside this if check, inside this scope, that variable is valid. Outside of the scope, so as soon as we get out of the if block, world goes out of scope and goes away, so it's no longer valid. So this is a handy way to kind of both clear your scope and also do the if check all in one line. So pretty nifty, but not really critical. It's just I like to do it that way. So we're going to check. This is where we check for a valid world. And once we have that, then we can go ahead and spawn this thing. So just like in Epic's version of the tutorial, we're going to set up any required params or info. Then we are going to determine where shall we put the pickup? And then we're going to also set a random rotation. This is where shall we give it will be our location. This will be to set a random rotation for the spawn pickup. And that's just a little bit of pizzazz. And then we're going to drop the new pickup into the world. And that's going to be it for now. Okay, so let's first go and do this. So we take the F actor spawn parameters, spawn params, and params.owner is this, and spawn params instigator equals instigator. Okay, where do we want to put this thing? Well, that's going to be an F vector, the spawn location, and this is where we leverage our get random point in volume function. And then once we've got that, then we want to give it a rotation so that some of them fall on their side, some of them fall on their head, and they look a little bit different when they come down. So that's rotation is represented with a rotator. So we'll call that spawn rotation. And just like in Epic's version of the tutorial, we're going to do the same thing. We will just simply set each component of the rotation. So yaw, pitch, and roll. We'll do yaw, and we'll use math function for f rand, which returns a value between 0 and 1. And we'll multiply that times 360, and that will give us a random yaw value between 0 and 360. And we copy paste that a couple of times, do the same thing for pitch, and we'll do the same thing for roll. Okay, so that'll give us the spawn rotation. Now we actually need to drop the thing into the world. So we're going to hold a reference to it. So we'll say a pickup pointer const spawned pickup, at least here in this scope. It's not going to stick around, but we'll have it just in case you want to use it later. And we call the world spawn actor. The type is a pickup. And we're going to pass in our parameters. So what to spawn? We want to tell it where to spawn it, the location. We want to give it the rotation, spawn rotation, and finally the remaining params. So the spawn params. And that's it. Okay, so now we've gone through and defined what we're going to spawn, which we'll actually set in the editor later. And we're going in here to actually spawn the pickup. We check to make sure that we're on the server, because we don't want this to happen on clients, and that we have a valid something to spawn. We get our world, make sure that's valid. Then we set up the parameters, define the location, set up a random rotation, and then we actually spawn the actor into the world. And that's pretty much all we have to do. So we can go ahead and save everything, and we can compile. Just right-click, build the game. And while that's compiling, we'll go ahead and end this video here, and in the next video, we'll finally define when to spawn. And oh, wait, hold up, looks like we got an error. What did I do wrong? Oh, a pickup was undefined. Right. Why? Because we didn't actually include the header file. So we need that here in order for it to know what the pickup type is so we can actually use it here in this file. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and do that again. Build. And once that's done and it builds successfully, then in the next video we will actually go, like I said, and define when to spawn and get back into the editor and do something interesting. So that's it for this video. I'll see you on the next round.